Hello. My speech today is on illegal immigration into the U.S. from Mexico. Um, there are estimated 11 million unauthorized immigrants in the U.S. Um, 28% of them are from Mexico. I'm sorry, 60% of them are from Mexico. 28% of all immigrants in the U.S. are illegal from all countries. 60% of those are from Mexico. This affects all of us because it affects infrastructure here in California, Arizona, Texas. It affects taxes, jobs, affects schools. So that's why it's important to each of us what happens with the government reforms. All of us, almost all Americans, are descendants of immigrants. Unless you're a Native American, then you were probably born from an immigrant family at some point. And just an overview is that we're paying for border enforcement, detainment, and deportation in amounts that exceed what it would cost to just let them live in the U.S., which is one of the biggest problems I think we've got. Now on slide 1, you'll see the 11 million. I think we can go to slide 2 now. Allowing broader immigration through controlled reforms will allow for planning and development for the immigrant workers instead of just allowing them to come into the country and not have any supervision, not have any means of taking care of themselves or receiving help when they do need it. And we can also tax any revenues they generate here, which would pay for their presence. The first point is that the current immigration laws just aren't working. According to the Department of Homeland Security, there's 8.5 million illegal aliens from Mexico have been deported in the past 10 years. And that's just half of the ones that they expect are in the U.S. Over the same period, we allowed 2 million Mexicans to immigrate legally, meaning that just 10% of all immigrants from Mexico since 2003 are here legally. 90% of all people that came across the border from Mexico are illegals. That accounts for 80% of all deportations from U.S. to any country, any other country on the planet, meaning that simple legal changes in the U.S. for Mexican immigrants would eliminate 80% of our immigration problem nationally. And because the current laws are ineffective, we're spending money on prevention, enforcement, and deportation, not to mention the infrastructure that we're still providing for the people that are here illegally. We're not collecting any money for them, but they still enroll in schools, they still collect food stamps, Social Security, whatever else they can get from our system, they're still getting it, but we're not collecting anything from them. According to the Hamilton Project, both immigration enforcement funding, so what we spend annually to enforce immigration, has gone up, but so has the number of illegal immigrants since 2003. We're paying nearly $18 billion a year to keep immigrants out of the U.S., and they could, if allowed legally to enter, could add to our tax revenues and generate income rather than costing us money. According to Homeland Security, the U.S. houses an average of 30,000 immigrants per month while they await deportation. The average cost for each immigrant is $164 a day, meaning we spend $5 million every single day housing immigrants awaiting deportation. That's $150 million every month just to keep them in a jail cell. The other problem with this is that their untaxed income, when they do earn income here in the U.S., doesn't go to any of the local governments. So the places where they live don't get the road improvements, don't collect gas taxes. Well, sorry, they would collect gas taxes, but they wouldn't have money for police, schools, and those type of things. What that will do in the long term is bring down the standard of living throughout the area where immigrants migrate to. So if you have a large immigrant community, there's going to be a much lower standard of living in that area because of the lack of infrastructure. And almost all of us are a product of immigration, and that immigration fueled the rise, U.S. industrial complex during the early 20th century. Immigrants create a large part of the jobs in the U.S. Immigrants apply for 25% more business licenses than the same population of U.S.-born citizens. And they also receive 3 times the number of patents as U.S.-born citizens. The Hamilton Project found that countries like Canada attract a greater influx of immigrants with higher education levels and specialized skills through immigration policies that specifically favor visa applicants with advanced degrees or work experience. Policies here in the U.S. are attracting less educated immigrants. 30% of all immigrants in the U.S. have less than a high school education. And this drives down the average education of our entire workforce and creates less opportunity for everyone. As you can see, providing a path to citizenship would be beneficial to immigrants and will keep more of them on the legal path for entry to the U.S. This will also put their payroll in view of taxing authority and generate the revenue to provide the infrastructure. What we are doing now is not working, so we have to change to meet the demands. Being open to new ways to deal with the problem is the first step in creating a final solution. And if we continue to ignore the solution, the issue, we'll continue to have masses of illegal immigration. Thank you. Hopefully that worked.
So what is this for?
I'm taking a public speaking class.
Stare at the ceiling or something.